Welcome back to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
So today, we're jumping into a really interesting situation. We're following Jennifer, a founder,
Right?
and she's heading out on what sounds like a pretty critical business trip. New York, all the way to Tokyo.
Yeah, and it's high stakes. She's trying to secure a distributor for her specialized cosmetics line. And Tokyo, I mean, that's a notoriously complex market.
It really is. You hear about the precision, the discipline needed, the quiet power dynamics. It's a whole different world.
Absolutely. And to make it trickier, she knows she has 3 solid candidates, but they're all competing for the deal. So, the environment is definitely competitive.
Okay, so to help her navigate this tense negotiation landscape, we looked at our sources. And the guidance we got, the sort of blueprint for this trip, is fascinating. It starts with the hexagram she.
Yeah. That translates to the army, or maybe the general, but then it transforms into Meng.
The developing, or sometimes the apprentice.
Exactly. So right away, that tells you this isn't just one action, it's a process, a journey.
A journey from potential conflict to cooperation. Is that the idea?
That's the core of it. The initial situation sheet is described by the source with this phrase, dragon and tiger contest, weapons rise.
Oof. Sounds intense, like she's walking into an arena.
Pretty much. It signals that these potential partners might posture, they might use, let's say, aggressive tactics to try and get the upper hand.
So our deep dive mission here is really to map out that strategic shift.
Yeah.
How does Jennifer go from that initial discipline stance of the general she, setting boundaries, showing strength,
Right, being prepared,
to the goal implied by Meng, which the source says is where a teacher leads, the road becomes clearer. So she has to switch from being the commander to being the student.
That's a great way to put it, from commander to student. So let's unpack that first phase, the general's discipline, the she part. Why start with such firmness? Why is that structure, that sort of defensive posture, so necessary right out of the gate?
Well, because the source mentions the market, and those 3 candidates will compete strongly. So if Jennifer or her team show any cracks, any confusion about their own goals, their pricing capacity.
Okay. Those potential partners, being experienced, will spot that immediately, especially in Japan, where clarity and preparation are valued so highly.
Exactly. Weakness gets exploited.
So the structure of she, the army, demands discipline, and that translates directly into a really critical role for her negotiation team, the single voice rule.
Single voice, meaning
one designated spokesperson, one lead negotiator. This is like non-negotiable. Imagine you have the founder, maybe the sales director, the CFO, all chiming in.
Yeah.
And they maybe contradict each other, even slightly.
Right.
Or offer different takes on pricing or exclusivity terms.
Oh, I see. The Japanese partner would see that as disorganized or disrespectful.
Both, potentially.
Yeah.
Internal weakness, lack of preparedness, lack of respect for the process, it undermines everything.
That's really interesting. So the general's discipline here isn't about being aggressive. It's about defensive clarity, being so solid in your own position that you can't be easily pushed around.
Precisely. It's about controlling your own side first.
Okay, so what does that look like practically? What's on Jennifer's must-have pre-trip checklist before she even gets on that plane to Tokyo?
Okay, number 1, unification. Everything has to be aligned. They need one and only one master pitch deck.
Just one. Got it.
And it needs to cover everything, clearly. The product's USP, unique selling proposition, her supply capacity, can she actually deliver, the pricing structure, the MOQs, minimum order quantities, and a really solid proposed launch plan.
No room for ambiguity.
None. And this is key. If there's any internal disagreement about figures, strategy, anything, that debate needs to happen in New York, not across the table in Tokyo.
Right. Settle it before you go. And strategically, does the order she meets these candidates matter?
Oh, definitely. She shouldn't just go in randomly. The advice is to structure the meeting order carefully. Meet the partner she feels is potentially the most collaborative first, the one she thinks might be the best long-term fit.
Why them first?
It helps her refine her pitch in a slightly lower pressure setting. She can gauge reactions, absorb initial feedback, build her own confidence, then save the most challenging candidate, the one maybe most likely to posture or push hard. Save them for last.
So she's warmed up. She's kind of battle-tested by the earlier meeting.
Exactly. She's got her footing.
Okay. So she's set her boundaries. She's done her homework. The team's aligned. She's armored, ready. Now we get to that first strategic move in Tokyo. The source says, seek small, secure center and safety. How does that avoid the dragon and tiger fight?
This is really crucial advice. Given the stakes and the level of commitment usually expected in the Japanese market, going for a huge all-or-nothing deal right away is just too risky for Jennifer.
Too much exposure.
Way too much. Financially, reputationally, she needs a more measured start.
But wait a minute. Wouldn't proposing something small, like a tiny pilot run, signal a lack of confidence? Especially in a market like Tokyo that values commitment and status. Wouldn't they rather see her go big?
That's a really sharp question, and it's a valid concern. But the risk cuts both ways. If she commits big and then stumbles, maybe the product doesn't quite hit, or logistics are tricky, she doesn't just lose money.
She burns that bridge.
Right. And potentially damages her brand's reputation for entering Japan at all. A measured, smaller start actually shows strategic maturity, not weakness. It shows she respects the market's complexity.
Okay, so instead of the giant 5-year exclusive deal.
The strategy is to propose a small, well-defined pilot run, let's say maybe a 3-month trial, focused. Perhaps in one specific high-visibility district like Ginza or Shibuya, and using only 2 or 3 of her core products.
With a proof of concept, very targeted.
Exactly. And this is critical. That pilot needs clear, agreed-upon, measurable metrics for success. Sell-through targets, for instance.
Quantifiable, so everyone knows what good looks like.
Absolutely. Quantifiable, contained, and it massively reduces the initial risk for both sides. This is how you start building that bridge from the disciplined structure of Shi towards a cooperative future.
And even though the scale is small initially, the legal protection needs to be strong.
Oh, absolutely massive. The general's protection is still paramount here.
Well,
she needs ironclad NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and probably preliminary MOUs, memorandums of understanding.
to protect her IP, her brand strategy.
And just align expectations clearly before a single product even ships. No room for misunderstandings about who's responsible for what, even in a small trial.
Okay, so the pilot's proposed, maybe agreed upon. Now we hit that core transition point, moving from the rigid structure, the defensiveness of Shi, towards the receptiveness of Meng the apprentice.
Yeah.
How does she make that shift? She's established her lines, now she needs to open up.
Yeah, it's a crucial psychological shift. From being the commander setting terms to becoming the apprentice ready to learn, the source emphasizes this. Clarity comes through guidance and questions.
So the goal changes. It's not just about getting the best deal anymore.
Exactly. It shifts towards opening the door to genuine, long-term mutual trust. And in high-level Japanese business, that trust is really the ultimate currency, more than just the contract terms.
So how does she spot the right partner during this learning phase? What's the sign she's found a teacher?
She's looking for the teacher partner, as you said. And that's not necessarily defined by their size or market share. It's about their willingness to educate.
Willingness to teach her about the market.
Yes. The ideal partner is the one who offers the clearest operational plan, sure, but also shows they're willing to actively co-invest time, maybe even resources, to train Jennifer's team on the specific nuances of succeeding in their market.
That proactive guidance. That's the signal.
That's the strongest positive sign. It shows they view this as a true partnership, not just another transaction on their books.
So the whole negotiation style has to change. It's less, here are my demands, and more.
Tell me what I don't know, or help me understand how this works here. She needs to gather that local wisdom.
Okay, so what's on her checklist now? What specific things should she be asking about to absorb that knowledge?
Right. This is the Meng phase in action. She needs to really understand their current reality on the ground. What's their existing product portfolio look like? What's their actual channel mix? How much is retail versus online, especially in key areas like Central Tokyo?
Not just claims, but specifics.
Specifics are key. What's their real marketing capability? Not just the budget they claim, but what do they actually do? What are their strategies? Who are their warehousing and logistics partners? She needs to get into the weeds.
And I imagine the regulatory side is huge, especially for cosmetics in Japan.
Oh, absolutely critical. This is probably the heart of the Meng questioning. She must ask about their specific hands-on experience navigating Japanese cosmetics regulations.
Because they're notoriously complex, right?
Extremely. For instance, Japan treats certain ingredients or even specific concentrations of ingredients as quasi-drugs.
Quasi-drugs, what does that mean practically?
It means they fall under a whole different set of rules. Highly specialized approvals, different labeling requirements. It can take months, sometimes even a year longer, to get clearance compared to the US or Europe.
Wow. So if a potential partner hasn't actually navigated that specific process successfully before,
then they aren't really a teacher in that crucial area. They might be learning alongside her, which increases the risk significantly. She needs someone who's already mastered that piece.
That really highlights the shift. The questions aren't just due diligence. They're transforming the negotiation into almost a strategic consultation. Jennifer is actively earning that vital local intelligence.
Exactly. Intelligence she simply can't get from back in New York.
Okay, so let's say the pilot is agreed upon, the products start moving. Now she enters the monitoring phase. What does that involve?
So this phase covers the second and third stages of the cyclical guidance, developing and then what the source calls mid-cycle turbulence.
Turbulence sounds ominous.
Well, realistic maybe. The second stage advice is settle the inconspicuous, observe the sky. Basically, even after the initial pilot deal is signed, you need active, shared monitoring.
Active monitoring, meaning setting things up carefully.
Yes. Agreeing upfront on the reporting cadence. How often will they share sales data? What are the inventory rules? Who's responsible for what portion of the marketing spend and how is it tracked? They need, ideally, some kind of shared dashboard.
And the key is observe. Watch the data carefully, but don't jump the gun.
Precisely. Watch without rushing, because that turbulence will likely come. That's the third stage warning. Waves not yet calm, don't act rashly.
So expect bumps in the road.
Expect them. Setbacks are normal in any international launch. You might see logistical delays, maybe some initial regulatory questions pop up. Perhaps sales are a bit slower out of the gate than everyone hoped. The hexagram is very clear. Don't panic. Don't overreact in a way that could jeopardize the whole relationship.
Okay, so this feels like the general's calm discipline returning, but maybe without the initial defensiveness. It's about steady management. So when those problems inevitably arise, let's say sales are 20% below forecast after the first month, what's the prescribed response?
The response needs to be calm and diagnostic. Schedule meetings, look at the data together. It is not about making drastic concessions immediately. Well, the classic panic move. If sales are weak, the distributor might push hard for a lower wholesale price. Jennifer has to resist that immediate urge.
Why? If it helps move product.
Because it fundamentally undermines her brand's value proposition and pricing integrity, potentially globally. It signals desperation, and it's hard to ever raise prices back up. That's a panic move, not a strategic one.
So instead of gutting the price, which kills profitability long term,
she sticks to the diagnostic process they hopefully agreed on earlier. Is it a promotional issue? Do they need more sampling in stores? Is the visual merchandising right for the Japanese aesthetic? Maybe the staff training needs a boost?
focus on fixing the operation, not just slashing the price.
Exactly. The response should always be operational, data-driven, and focused on respecting that core brand and pricing integrity established way back in the She phase. Maintain the structure.
Okay, that makes sense. This careful management brings us towards the end game, final alignment. The source calls this clarity through truth, and the key phrase is, be careful with words, truth clears the fog.
Right. This final phase demands, well, absolute honesty from both sides and really rigorous documentation of everything. It's where the two energies, the firmness of She and the receptiveness of Meng, have to come together. It's a synthesis.
A synthesis, like finding that balance.
Exactly. The source points to a kind of yin-yang balance needed for constructive, long-term collaboration.
Which means Jennifer needs to be.
She needs to be firm on her core business principles, things that protect her brand globally. Maintaining price integrity, controlling the brand's image and messaging, ensuring quality control standards are met. Non-negotiables.
But
at the same time, remain humble and receptive on the localization details. Be flexible where the partner truly has superior local knowledge.
like adapting packaging, maybe for Japanese gift-giving customs, or tweaking the distribution channels based on what the partner knows works best on the ground.
Precisely those kinds of things. Flexible on local execution, but firm on global brand standards. And the final key stance in this negotiation, especially if the pilot went well,
Yes.
is demanding clear, measurable key performance indicators, KPIs, before granting that full long-term exclusivity they might have been asking for from the start.
So exclusivity is earned through performance in the pilot.
It has to be. If the pilot was successful, the data proves the concept. Now you set the next set of performance targets, scaling up, and you move towards that full distribution agreement. And critically, if any changes are made to the initial MOU or plan,
Get it in writing.
get it in writing, signed amendments, everything documented. That aligns perfectly with the general's need for structure, order, and truth. Clarity.
So the outcome, best case, is converting that successful pilot into a proper tiered distribution agreement. Clear milestones, clear expectations.
That's the goal. Or if it turns out not to be the right fit, even after the pilot, well, the learning is documented, the relationship ends professionally, and Jennifer's brand value and IP have been protected throughout the whole measured process. She hasn't overcommitted or burned bridges unnecessarily.
That whole journey, from preparing in New York to potentially signing a long-term deal in Tokyo, it's such a perfect illustration of managing complexity, isn't it?
It really is.
Following that path from sheet. The discipline, the structure, setting those crucial boundaries all the way to Meng, the learning, the clarity, the receptive partnership.
It shows that successful negotiation, particularly in a really demanding market like Tokyo, isn't just one thing. It requires this ability to alternate, to flow between the strength and preparedness of the general.
And the curiosity and openness of the student.
Yeah, it's not always about having all the answers up front.
What's really striking is that idea that true leadership isn't just about giving orders or setting terms. Sometimes, maybe often, it's about knowing when to ask the right questions, when to admit what you don't know.
Especially when, millions might be riding on your ability to listen and adapt.
It really makes you reflect, doesn't it, on your own work, your own projects. When was the last time you defaulted to being the rigid general, setting down the law, when maybe you should have shifted into being the student, asking, listening, and adapting?
That internal battlefield, our own assumptions and habits, that's often the real challenge.
Finding that balance between command and curiosity, that seems to be where real partnership and maybe real success actually begins.
Well said.
If you're navigating your own complex decisions and looking for more insights, more potential roadmaps like this one, you can find resources and explore further. Just visit ASCII.info.